In this exercise, I'm going to show you how to add objects to an opacity mask. I've saved my progress as emptyopacitymask.ai, and I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here so I can see the reflection. Now, let's say I want to modify the opacity mask. Well, I look here to the transparency panel, and I can't see it. In my case, you may be able to if you're still working along with me, but I can't see mine. Why is that? Well, I don't have the right layer selected, so I'll click on it. Still can't see it. And that's because I need to select that exact object that contains the opacity mask. And that happens to be the entire layer, so I need to meatball it like so. And now I can see both the contents of the layer represented in the left-hand thumbnail and the layer mask represented in the right-hand thumbnail. Now, the layer mask happens to be completely white, which means that I can see the entire contents of this layer. I'm going to click on the opacity mask to edit it. This is a very important step, and it's easy to forget, believe it or not, when you're working away inside of Illustrator, that you've got to take a moment to click on the opacity mask to make it active. You want to see Layers Opacity Mask in the Layers panel, and then you can add your objects. So I'll grab the rectangle tool, what the heck, which I can get by pressing the M key, of course. I'll draw inside of the light bulb, and I get what looks like a rectangle with a white stroke. What in the world is going on? Well, what you've really drawn is a rectangle that's filled with white. Notice up here in the control panel, it's filled with white and it has a black stroke. Let's change the stroke weight for a moment so I can just show you what's going on. I'm going to increase that stroke weight to, let's say, 12 points. And what's happening here is this black stroke is cutting a hole in the layer. Because black in the opacity mask means conceal, that is, it's cutting a hole. And white in the opacity mask means reveal, that is, it's restoring the contents of that layer. So what if we want this entire square to be a hole? Well, I'd go up to the control panel, click on that fill icon, and switch to this black swatch. And by the way, you don't need a rich black or anything like that when you're working inside of an opacity mask. Just 100% black does the trick. And typically, you're just working with black values. You can assign color, but it makes your results very unpredictable here inside the opacity mask. Next, I suggest we get rid of the stroke, because I don't tend to like to use strokes as opacity elements. So I'll click on the stroke swatch, and then I'll change it to none. So the result is a square hole inside of the light bulb. I'm going to go ahead and scale it by grabbing my scale tool, and I'm going to drag like so just to make it a little bigger so we're covering up most of the bulb. Now I want to show you how to create a reveal. Let's say I want to do it with a circle this time, just for the sake of variety. So I'll click and hold on the rectangle tool, choose the ellipse tool, or I can press the L key. And I'll go ahead and draw a circle inside of this area. It's still set to black because that was my last attributes I had assigned. I'll go up to the control panel, click on that fill swatch, and change it to white. And then it goes ahead and reveals the contents of that layer. And so you can do this as much as you want. And you can definitely, by the way, paint with shades of gray in order to create gradients. It's a very popular way to work. In fact, in my opinion, that's about the best way to work there is, because think about it here. If all you want to do is create a hole in a path, then you can use a compound path or a compound shape, both of which are more convenient than resorting to an opacity mask. And if all you want to do is put a bunch of paths inside a container, then a clipping path is the way to go. However, if you want the contents of a layer to gradually fade away, then a gradient opacity mask is the way to go in Illustrator. And I will show you how to create just such a mask in the next exercise.